afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be here with Congresswoman DeLauro. As you know, is our co-chair of our Steering and Policy Committee. Congresswoman Doris Matsui, who is the co-chair of the bipartisan Women's Working Group. Get these names. And with Lois Frankel as head of our Women Lead Initiative. As you all probably know, this is Pay Equity Day. That means up until today, women have been working for free. Starting tomorrow, women will be getting paid for their work this year. But not if you're an African American woman, or not if you are a Hispanic American woman. You still have to work a few more weeks unpaid in order to catch up with your male counterpart, equal qualifications and equal responsibilities. In 1963, President Kennedy signed the Equal Pay Act, and this is what he said at the time. He said that the prohibiting pay discrimination against women is a structure basic to our democracy. Almost 50 years later, before signing the first piece of legislation, President Obama, the first bill he signed was the Lilly Ledbetter bill. He said, making our economy work means making sure it works for everyone. It's past time for the Republican-led Congress to bring a paycheck fairness bill to the floor for many reasons, but I do want Rosa DeLauro to talk about most of them because she has been our leader, our godmother on this issue. She will tell you how many times she has introduced this bill. We passed it in the House when we had the majority. We couldn't pass it in the Senate. But I want to, in bringing her forward, commend her for her tremendous leader. Doris is next. Oh, Doris is next, okay. I just returned from a trip to Asia on the mission of trade, security, and human rights, including women's rights. And Doris Matsui was a champion in saying to the leaders of the countries and presidents, legislators, foreign ministers, how important the advancement of women is in America and in the world. Because as we know in America, when women succeed, America succeeds, and the same holds true globally. Congresswoman Matsui.
Thank you very much, Leader Pelosi. And taking off from what the leader said, yes, we did promote When Women Succeed, America Succeeds agenda, and we fill in the blank. When women succeed, Korea succeeds. When women succeeds, Cambodia succeeds. So if you look at all of this today, and we look at where we are today, this is Pay Equity Day, and you think about the fact that, you know, we work for free until today, let's face it. So women also have to still pay their mortgages, they have college loans, and they have to think about their retirement. And quite frankly, we are really sort of at the short end of the stick. So a couple years ago, under the leadership of Nancy Pelosi, we did form a group of us and the Democratic Women's Working Group, and we did develop this When Women Succeed, America Succeeds. And it's important because it's an economic agenda, not only for women, but for their families too. In many cases, women are the primary breadwinners, and we have to take that into consideration. So the goal is simple as far as what we are trying to do, is really work on policies that help women succeed and therefore make families succeed, which means equal pay, but also paid sick leave and affordable child care. Now together, our working group has come together, and when women come together, it's remarkable what we can do. So over the past few years, we've become quite a formidable group of women, and we're using our collective voices to urge House leadership to bring up the Paycheck Fairness Act. So we are meeting with some White House officials after this meeting so that we can work together on some of these issues as we move forward. So at this point in time, the important issue that we're talking about today is paycheck fairness. And I want to present to you the author of the Paycheck Fairness Act, who is a fighter for women, Rosa DeLauro.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. What an honor for me to stand here today with the the leader of the House of Representatives, but someone who, when she was Speaker, we passed the Paycheck Fairness Bill twice. Twice. You should understand that and where we would go. And to be with Doris Matsui and with Lois Frankel as they head up our Democratic Women's Working Group and formulate and put together what is an economic agenda for women and their families today. And this is about families. The Paycheck Fairness Bill is all about men, women, same job, same pay. It's a very simple premise. And as the leader pointed out, in 1952, when the Pay Equity Act was signed, it was about making sure that women were making the same amount of money that their male counterparts were. That is not true today. It is still 78 cents on the dollar, and that number hasn't really budged in a decade. Most recently, we found that nurses, which is a profession which is about 90% of women, that male nurses are paid about $5,100 more. It's really staggering. So this day, and we don't want to be here next year on Equal Pay Day. We really don't. We want to say that is enough of this. 104 days into this year is just too many days, and it's much too late for women. Understand that the single biggest issue that families face today is that their incomes are stagnant, their wages are stagnant, and they are not being paid enough on their jobs in order to be able to pay their bills. So families all across this nation are struggling. And women who make up half the population, women who are 2/3 of whom are the breadwinners, primary or secondary breadwinners, are facing this overwhelmingly. And what it means is when they're shortchanged, their families are shortchanged. That's less food on the table, that's no heat for their family, that's no gas for the car, that is, you think about all the economic circumstances that follow from that. We're here to tell you that all of our Democrats are on the Paycheck Fairness Bill. It's 100% clean sweep. And I got to tell you, if Nancy Pelosi were the Speaker of the House, that bill would be on the floor. We would pass it again and send it over to the Senate. And President Obama says that he would sign the bill. Our goal, he has done a good job of making sure that workers, federal workers, who work for federal contractors are protected. It is now our job, it's now the Congress's job to pass paycheck fairness and to make sure that all women are protected through the Paycheck Fairness Act. It says no more secrecy. You can talk about your pay and your salary with other co-workers, and if your employer doesn't pay you as much as they are paying your male counterpart, then they've got to talk about the gender disparity and why it is there. These are simple, easy reasons. Same job, men, women, same pay. That's it. Thank you very much. It's our pleasure to introduce the Vice Chair of the Democratic Women's Working Group, Lois Frankel.
Thank you. All right. That's right. Yes, it's a hard act to follow. You have to be quick on your feet with her because she swings her arms. Listen, you know what? Gender discrimination in the workplace not only hurts the pocketbook, and it hurts the heart. The single mom who's working 2 or 3 jobs and has to now spending less time with her children, the young woman trying to repay her student loans, the older woman trying to save for retirement security. It's not just about fairness, it's about survival. So I'm just here to say let's bring up that Paycheck Fairness Act and give people who are discriminated in the workplace because of gender they need to get justice.
Since 1997, Rosa has been introduced. Fairness Act. I think Pay Equity Day should be called Rosa DeLauro Day. Right, so, but let me say this. This is also part of what the president talked about when he talked about middle-income economics, middle-class economics versus trickle-down economics. We'll never really have the upturn in our economy that we need to see Even though so many indicators are very positive on the upturn in the economy, we'll never get the one we need to see until we strengthen the paycheck of America's working families. Bigger paychecks, better infrastructure, yes, but also paycheck fairness. Women make up such a large part of the economy. If they have more purchasing power, not only for all the necessities that Rosa talked about, or not only about pension security and what it means. Right now, it's almost $500,000 less that a woman would make than a man doing a comparable job over a lifetime. And what does that mean to that woman's retirement and to her Social Security? But getting back to the middle class economics, this confidence, this consumer confidence that we need to turn around our economy would be greatly strengthened, that confidence would, if we had equal pay for equal work. So again, when women succeed, America succeeds. That was our bus trip, that's our agenda, but it's about paycheck fairness, it's about paid sick leave, and I commend the administration for their lead to leave paid sick leave, as well as issues that relate to quality, affordable childcare. It's not just about women, it's about families, about men who are caregivers and also at-home dads, or just part of a family. With that, I'd be pleased to take any questions.
A big week for women in politics.
Yes.
Hillary Clinton announcing her run for the presidency. Do you endorse her? And
Well,
just your thoughts as
wait a
one
minute.
of the most powerful women in American political history.
Let me just hold that thought for a moment. We're here about paycheck fairness, and I wondered if anyone had any questions about
Isn't she the
our
embodiment of
prospect.
paycheck fairness?
We'll get to that. But on this subject, this morning we had Pay Equity Day at the, was it at the Department of Labor, but was it Pay Equity, Pay Equity Day at the Department of Labor, and talked about, and much more extensively, in what it meant in the lives of America's families. This is really very important, and so many women who are here, we want you to have that paycheck fairness. So many fathers who are here, we want your children, your sisters, your moms, all to have that. It makes a very big difference. No questions?
I have a question. Senator Fisher has a bill in the Senate that's scaled down version of paycheck fairness that has the anti-retaliation provision but doesn't have the punitive damages, doesn't have the shifting of the burden of proof. Is that something that you would vote for if it were to reach the House?
I think that you've said it accurately, that that does deal with the anti-retaliation piece. But in fact, what it doesn't do is to look at those employers who are making a decision on what they're paying their employee, their female employee, and having to let us know why there is a gender disparity, and thereby allowing for women to have that opportunity, that if there is discrimination, to be able to be able to sue, and to be able to sue for punitive damages. That's a very strong and important part of the legislation. And interestingly enough, and the leader at the time, there was concern as to whether or not we could pass in the House of Representatives a bill that allowed for punitive damages. And lo and behold, yes, we did. There were some concerns about, not on that issue, but on small business, and we adjusted those, and they were voted on, and it was a bipartisan vote on paycheck fairness twice, so that we can maintain it as strong as it can be, and allow women to have that flexibility if they're being discriminated against, to be able to sue for damages.
Is her bill better than nothing then?
You know, I think that I'll speak for myself on that. I've been here for 25 years, and I think what we need to do at this juncture is to make sure we are going for the strongest protection of women in the workforce, and women half of their families. They deserve no less.
I would also say that it is no substitute for the full bill, as the Congresswoman indicated, for reasons she indicated. It's a good provision of a bigger bill. It's no substitute for the bill. Any other questions?
It also, let me just say that, it also gives employers much less incentive to discriminate.
That's right.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I mean, it gives employers much less incentive to discriminate. That's why it's needed.
Madam Chair, can I just say one more thing on,
Please.
on paycheck? I mean, I'm looking out at the audience as well. When we take a look at men, women, same job, same pay, we are the consummate example of that. We come from different parts of the country. We come with different skill sets. We come with different educational backgrounds. We are in the same job as our male counterparts, and we get paid the same amount of money. As I say, I look out at the audience. That should be true for women who are engineers, for women who are news anchors, for women who are teachers, for women who are nurses, for women who are library directors, museum directors, whatever it is. If the person standing next to you is male doing the exact same job as you are doing, you ought to be paid the same amount of money as he is. It's a premise, and the Congress is a consummate example of what that is. When you hear from people who say, well, you choose to do this, you have different skill sets, you have different education backgrounds, all of those things are true here. We get paid the same amount of money.
And what her bill does is it allows people to find out what other people are making.
Right.
Because you can't have a lawsuit
Exactly.
without that.
Well, I'll end where we began, and then I'll come to your question, and that is that for 3.5 months, women in America have been working for free when they work in a situation where there is not paycheck fairness, where their male counterpart makes, when they make, 78 cents on the dollar that their male can, it's simply not right. Go to work every working day for 3.5 months as a donation to your employer. Not right. Thank you all. Now, what was your question?
A big week for women in politics.
Yeah,
Hillary
yeah.
Clinton announcing her candidacy for the president. Do you endorse her? And as the most powerful female politician up until this point, what are your just thoughts that this is probably the best chance of cracking the glass ceiling of all time?
Well, first of all, it's a marble ceiling. Glass, that's easy. It's a marble ceiling. And I took great pride in crashing the marble ceiling to become Speaker and even leader in the House. I won't be using this occasion, as disappointing as that may be to you, to make any announcement about any endorsement for president. But I will say what I have always said. Hillary Clinton will be a great candidate for president, and when she wins and goes into the Oval Office, she'll be one of the best prepared people in the lifetime of many of you here, certainly in mine as well, to serve in that office. She has knowledge and judgment. She has a vision for our country. She knows how to get a job done, and she is just so appealing to so many in our country. There's great enthusiasm for her candidacy. I don't do politics in the Capitol, so I'll be saving any endorsements that I may have for another day.
Can I ask a question about Cuba here? You put out
Yes,
a statement
yes.
here just a moment ago, and so obviously, you appreciate what the administration is doing here, but some on the other side are saying, Cuba should be on the list, that they do sponsor state terrorism.
No, I don't know that. I don't even know that Cuba should ever have been on the list, to tell you the truth. They're certainly not for 50-some years, and I think the president did the right thing. We're trying to go into the future, and it is amusing to me that some candidates who describe themselves as candidates for the future are so wedded to Cuban politics of the past. But in any event, as we go into the future, to set up diplomatic relations, to have an exchange of ideas between our two countries, our near neighbor, and in this hemisphere, it's very important, and I salute the president for the action that he took. It was when Rosa and I were just down in Cuba a few weeks ago, it was very important to the Cubans that they be taken off this list. It means a lot to their country, and really, I don't think it's justified, and I think the president did the right thing.
Carlos Cabello says that this was something that was pre-baked in secret after the Alan Gross release. Do you think
I have no idea what he's talking about. In fact,
What was so critically important on the trip that the leader led with several of us to Cuba, and for me it was my third time to Cuba, there was a sense of the historic moment, and I think it's true from the U.S. point of view and from the Cuban point of view with the leaders that we met there, that this is a historic moment. Yes, there are some difficult issues to sort through, this being one of them in the state-sponsored terrorist list, but the understanding of the history of the moment to be able to not, as the leader said, to focus on the policies of the past, whether you're the United States or Cuba, but to look forward to the future on where we can go, what that can mean to a U.S. economy, what that can mean to a Cuban economy.
I don't know what you mean by pre-baked. I mean, the president made his announcement in December. It's 4 months later. So I don't know what pre-baked.
He was saying that this was a condition set by the Cuban government
No.
in those talks.
That's not true at all. That's not true at all. But anyway, thank you all very much. Hopefully we will not have to come together to observe Equity Day.
Can I get a question, follow up on Luke's question? As someone who spends a lot of time focused on congressional candidates, I'm just wondering what you think Hillary Clinton's candidacy means for Democratic congressional.
It has it all. It has power. It has ideas.